Hey there, my name's Nick. I'm the Mystic Next Door, and today I wanted to talk about 6 different kinds of rest you probably didn't realize that you needed. This is really important when it comes to self-love because this is a piece of self-care, which is one of the 5 foundations of self-love. And rest is obviously really important. Like, if you're not well rested, even after just one night of bad sleep, like you're really lagging the next day. Well, there's a lot more to it than just physical rest. And I wanted to share a few different aspects of rest so that you can look at a little bit more deeply at what you need. And you can pull out a piece of paper and even grade yourself on these if you want. First is physical rest, but that's more than just sleep. It doesn't have to be sleep. A lot of people need naps and they don't give themselves naps. But it can also just be laying down or sitting quietly and closing your eyes, not meditating or trying to do anything, just closing your eyes and letting yourself rest. It can also be some restorative yoga or something gentle like that gives our body and our brains a chance to step out of that constant movement and stress and doing things and into just resting, right? A restful state. Second is mental rest. This is really important because we are exposed to a ridiculous amount of information every day, and our brains are trying to process that, and we often get overloaded. And the way that people don't take mental rest, right? They know, oftentimes we'll know when our brain is done braining and we just need a rest. And then we'll open up the phone and start scrolling. We'll look at emails, do something that requires a little less brain power, do something mindless to distract ourselves. And a certain amount of that is okay, but at a certain point, you wind up bringing more and more information in, more and more processing, and it doesn't actually feel restful at all. So from there, let's go to sensory rest, right? Along those same lines, we're looking at screens. All of this information coming into us, sights, sounds, like you can't go anywhere without a background track playing, some kind of music track playing in the background, the grocery store, out in the shopping center, even in our cars, wherever. We just constantly got this sensory information coming in. If you live in a urban area or a more populated area, just being around a lot of people, right? This is this sensory overload. If you're sensitive to this, you're probably really familiar with it, but I'll tell you, you can actually be less sensitive to it if you really allow yourself the kind of rest that you need. Because when we're constantly overloaded with it, it's that little extra that just sets us over the edge. And when you give yourself proper rest, you build up your resilience, and you can be around more, and it's a really fulfilling experience. So this is just, getting out your noise canceling headphones. It's, maybe even putting on an eye mask, even or palming your eyes if you if you want to close out your eyes, right? Give that sense a chance to rest. Finding a really calm environment where we can simply be present and let ourselves be out of all of that constant intake of information, not through the mind, but through the senses. Let's talk about emotional rest. Emotional rest, right? If you are, and you probably are because you're here right now, if you're on your journey of personal development, well, part of that is releasing old emotions, right? Working through some of the things that have held you back and held you at a certain point of success in your life or expansion in your life, whatever that may be for you. And as we release these things, if you think about emotions as an energy, well, that energy needs to move in order to fully release from the system and fully resolve itself. And a lot of people get really stuck in the processing of that. And I've even heard them use this term, emotional labor. I'm doing so much emotional labor. Well, it doesn't need to be that hard. The biggest thing with emotional rest is not labeling it, trying to fix it, trying to stuff it, trying to manage it, trying to do anything with it. Emotional rest is really just about being present to whatever you've got going on inside of you, acknowledging it, and being with it. And that's plenty. And it allows the natural healing process for those things to be acknowledged and to naturally release from your system more fully and more completely, and also with a lot less effort. Emotional rest is incredibly powerful. Along those lines, again, you can see how these are interrelated. Social rest. I'm a very introverted person, whether it, maybe looks like that from your perspective right now or not. The truth of the matter is I'm extremely introverted. And so this is one I'm very familiar with. However, even my most extroverted extrovert friends need a little emotional rest. I've seen it in place, and when it comes out, they just kind of shut down, like they're just done. So everybody needs this. You may just need it in a little bit different proportion. And social rest is really just understanding the cues that your body and your brain give you when you've been around other people and when you are feeling depleted around that. And you don't have to just leave the party, so to speak. You can simply step away for a few minutes, take a few deep breaths, give yourself a moment to replenish so that you're not constantly in that. I've seen so many people, and I've done this myself, been in those situations and just not really known how to step out of it elegantly and step back in elegantly. And then by the end of it, you just feel totally wasted, right? Just totally drained from the whole experience. Well, that's no fun. So this is an opportunity for you to recognize when you need that and to give yourself little doses of it before you get super tapped out, all right? Two more here. We've got creative rest. This one is near and dear to my heart because I rely on my creativity for most of my work in some degree. So you can see the singing bowls behind me, right? My life as a musician and doing sound healing, but certainly in creating content for all of you and in teaching and mentoring and all of those kinds of things. I use a lot of creativity. Well, when we're in the flow, things are awesome. And I think that's part of the problem is that we get into it and then we're a little afraid to leave it, right? Afraid of like, oh, I might lose the flow. I might not be able to get back in. I might, lose the ideas or whatever it is. It's learning how to be in and out of that in a more clear way and knowing how to keep that flow going even when you do step out of it. So creative rest is giving ourselves an opportunity to not have to do that, to not have to be on, to not have to be creative, not have to be thinking outside the box or trying new things or anything like that. And one of the most powerful things I've found for this, one is novelty, is just giving ourselves new experiences, giving ourselves an opportunity to be out of our normal environment, right? For an introvert like myself, that's something I have to consciously decide to do. Maybe you're similar to that. But to get out of the regular and to go have some different experiences. And the other one is giving ourselves the opportunity to just not have to create anything, right? There's a reason that your best ideas come to you, may come to you in the shower or when you're working out, when you're totally not thinking about that. Well, that's a sort of creative rest where you're not responsible for doing anything other than just being yourself. And then all of a sudden, the ideas start to come through. It's really cool how that works. So creative rest is counterintuitive, but incredibly powerful for generating new ideas and fresh perspective. All right, last one here, and this one's kind of unexpected. Spiritual rest. You might be wondering, well, what do you mean by that, right? Spirituality is always a good thing. Yes, it is. If you're here right now, you're likely into personal development and spiritual development and all those kinds of cool things. It's so exciting. There are so many cool things to learn. There are so many fresh ideas, so many things that we want to take in, so many opportunities to change our lives and to change our perspective. And so it's easy to get into this mode of like, I want it all, like I want to consume it all. And that what it winds up doing is burdening us down with all of this information. And we don't have the chance to actually implement those things in our lives in a meaningful way. That's the difference between information and transforming that information into living wisdom. And when you have like a huge backlog of all this stuff that right, you've learned and but it's not showing up in your life, you probably need a little spiritual rest. And I can't think of a better practice than self-love. Like self-love is so supportive of this because it allows you to just be exactly as you are, exactly where you are, to really embrace this now moment on your journey. And what that does is it makes that process, it takes all the pressure off of having to learn it all and do it all and be it all, and really puts you in the place of being here and now exactly as you are, because this is where your next step always is. And that is such a powerful place to be. So we've got these different kinds of rest. This isn't an exhaustive list. This is simply a way for you to look at how you rest in your life and what different kinds of rest you might need that help you to feel more whole, more resourceful, more resilient in every way. So if this is cool for you, if you're excited about this, definitely check out my website. You can learn all about it. I have an amazing course on self-love that really walks you through this in a very deep way with deep healing practices, a really substantial training for self-understanding, personal growth, and spiritual development. And I think you'll love it, right? But otherwise, go ahead and examine this in your life. I hope it's been useful for you. My name's Nick. I'm the Mystic Next Door. We'll see you next time.